Good evening, folks, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 40 of DINAMO-TV. My name is Tonchi Pulsats. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you here tonight for our second episode of 2025. And tonight, it's going to be a shorter episode, just over half an hour, but nonetheless, it's got lots and lots of interviews and footage from the weekend's I&D Challenge Cup that was held down in Geelong. And we will be talking a lot about that. But it's going to be a fun-filled show, that's for sure. And thank you for being very patient last week with all of the little bit of technical issues we've been having with our stream provider. Folks, we're going to get straight into the news side of things immediately after this short break. Okay, we've got lots to get through to with the news, so let's get straight to the point. First of all, it's the buffet night. This Friday night, 24th of January, we've got lamb on the menu, chicken schnitzel, salt and pepper squid, garlic prawn sarma, scallop potatoes, desserts, and to top it off, there's going to be live music by popular Gruppa Accord. That all kicks off from 7 p.m. this Friday night at Churchill Reserve. And as you can see, tickets are $35 for adults, kids under 16, $20, and kids under the age of 10 are just $15. So message Anna on 0401 505 100 to book. Bookings are essential. And at this stage, we're not even sure if we've got any more spots left, but definitely come along to that. The 2025 membership packages are out. There are 3 different categories there. You can see the platinum, all-you-can-eat membership, if you like. There's so much there, and it's definitely super value for money. Pardon me, at $1,000 for the whole year. Gold membership is $300, and ordinary membership is just $50, and that entitles you to a 2025 fixture magnet and voting rights. Now, you will be able to get those memberships at the club tomorrow night, because tomorrow night there's a practice match as well involving the senior men and the under-23 practice matches. And we will see Dynamo taking on Melbourne Victory. That's at Churchill Reserve. Under-23s kick off at 6 and the seniors kicking off at 8. And the bar and kitchen will be open from 6 p.m. onwards. So do make sure you get yourself down to that. Early or in the middle of next month, the Dynamo Car and Bike Show. That's something coming up. So as soon as the buffet night is over on Sunday, the February the 16th, it is our annual Dynamo Car and Bike Show. It's $10 per car, $5 per bike. All makes and models are most welcome. Gates open at 10 a.m. and all cars and bikes are asked to enter via the rear car park on, on Fox Street. The event, of course, is proudly sponsored by the I&D Group. Alrighty, we're going to take a short break. When we return, it's going to be our first guest for tonight, and we will be speaking with Cameron Watson, the head coach of the senior men's NPL team. I caught up with Cameron on Sunday night down at Alco Park in Geelong after his team had taken on the Melbourne Knights in the I&D Challenge Cup. They went down 1-0 in a very competitive game. The Melbourne Knights, by the way, taking out the whole cup competition after, I think it was 6 wins from 7 games or something like that, all the way from the under-14s right up until the seniors. So well done to the Melbourne Knights. And after this break, stay tuned. We'll be talking to the head gaffer of the senior men's. Welcome to Dynamo-TV, Cam. First of all, congratulations on the appointment on behalf of everyone at the club, and obviously the first pre-season with the club. It's going to be a huge year this year with the 50th anniversary off the field. What is it going to look like on the field?
Hopefully good. Look, it's been busy off season, pre-season. We've brought in 10 10 new players from outside the club, which is obviously given it a fresh look. But yeah, like it's, again, hopefully the 50th anniversary coincides with, good performances and a successful season, whatever that may look like on the field. So, but no, so far, look, it's good. It's a good group. We've been happy for 90% of what we've seen in pre-season. It's you're going to get your ebbs and flows of good and not so good performances, but it's about kind of taking those small steps and then taking them into round one and trying to have a good start to the season.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you've been at the club not for that long, but you've experienced two monumental things as far as the club was concerned last year. One was survival in the NPL, and that was huge. It meant so much to the club. And two was the Australian-Croatian soccer tournament as well. What's been your first impressions of Dinamo, coming to the club, new to the club, and both on and off the field?
Look, we felt right at home straight away. I think we said that in the beginning when we got here. It's we came here to, I guess, get a team out of a tough situation, and we did that, which was great at the time, and obviously great for the club, great for us. And we've got the backing of the club. It's been great. Supporters have been really good, and it's, I think, a matter of trying to, take the steps in the right direction. With the club as a whole, from juniors all the way through to seniors. Trying to kind of have a high performance, high developing club that can not just only have a good first team, but try and have a pathway for the young boys coming through to play, eventually with the first team. So, look, I can't really complain about anything. It's been great. Obviously, the Crow tournament was a great success, a great turnout over the 3 or 4 days, and yeah, look, hopefully just looking forward for this year, and not just this year, but next 2 or 3 years, just trying to obviously get a blueprint in place that's going to provide some success.
We're not going to ask you specifically about what ladder position you want to finish or anything like that, but what are some of the goals you've set for the team for 2025?
I think it's just about being competitive. I think week in, week out, and having a mindset of we're a new team, like as in the team that we've established this year, but. I think being able to compete against the so-called bigger clubs, but with obviously those around us, because again, the season can start and it can go many ways. So it's having a mindset of, okay, we're in this position, everyone starts evenly. I think it's a matter of implementing what we've done through the last 12 weeks and trying to start off well. And again, I think, as you said, I can't put a position on the table. It's a matter of just being competitive and actually executing what we've kind of told the boys. I think that's what the success will look like. And I think if they're able to do that, I think we can put ourselves in a good position. The ladder never lies at the end of the season. So, look, ideally you want to finish as high as possible and avoid that. Look, it's bottom 3 this year. Yeah. So it's going to be tough. There's obviously a lot of good teams and it's going to be a strong competition. So it's going to be a week in, week out, I think, dogfight with a lot of teams.
Bottom 3 getting relegated. Why is that?
As far as I know, yeah. Bottom 3.
Oh, wow. So it's going to be super.
It's going to be a very tough competition this year for everyone, and that's the way it should be. It should be competitive across the whole league, and but I think that's something you should thrive for. I don't think you should be scared of. I think, and I don't think anyone is across the league, but I think it's those that thrive will have the more success.
Now, last week we spoke to Ilya, the president. We spoke to Jason Zeri, the football ops manager, and we mentioned about the pitch. They're getting a new returf and whatnot. That's going to be fantastic. And Churchill Reserve hasn't been renowned for the best pitch in recent years. But in the meantime, has it disadvantaged the squad not being able to train or play on there ahead of the season start? Having said that, pitches 2 and 3 are unbelievable.
Yeah, no, pitch 3 is great. We obviously played there during the week. We train on there week in, week out. So I don't think so. I think once pitch 1's ready, I think the boys will just be kind of just chomping at the bit to get on there, and especially to have all our supporters in, and obviously hopefully a good crowd for that, especially that first game when it's on pitch 1.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to, something that the club's done great, to get done after a lot of years, and I think it's just a step in the right direction for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think it's someone that deserves it. Someone that's been around 50 years, that has had a lot of juniors, a lot of people come through the club. I think it's long overdue.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Plans for here until the pre-season?
We've got 2 more friendlies. Yeah, we've got Victory on Thursday. Then we've got Manningham the Wednesday after, which is the 10 days out from the start of the season.
And Victory's at home.
Yeah, Victory and Manningham at home.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're the last 2 games to fine tune and get people up to speed, and everything else is as normal. And look forward to round 1 away to Dandenong City.
On behalf of the Dinamo community, mate, all the very, very best. And finally, any words or message for the Dinamo supporters out there on DINAMO-TV?
None have been good. I think you turn up in numbers, support the boys, support the club. That's again, as a player, that's what you want, week in, week out. So that's all we can ask for, and hopefully we get the job done on the park.
Good on you. All the best, mate, for 2025.
Cheers, Tonj.
And that was Cameron Watson, the head coach of our NPL team. Alrighty, the next person that we're going to be hearing from is, and here we go. The next person we're going to be hearing from is Ian Burke, who is the coach of the under-19s team. Well, episode 2 of DINAMO-TV, the pre-season's really, really hotting up. The juniors behind us, well, they kick off very, very shortly. But in the meantime, we're speaking with the coach, the newly appointed coach of the Dinamo under-19s, and a man very, very familiar to us, Ian Burke. Ian, good afternoon. Good evening. It's good afternoon when we're recording this. How are you?
Yeah, very well, Tonchi. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. I tell you what, it's been a very, very hot off season because things are really shaping up. Things are really getting closer. But let's talk about your appointment under-19s. Yep. First of all, how did that come about? Did you approach the club?
Yeah, so I went to the club and said, look, I've done assistant for a couple of years now. A year before that at Gully as assistant as well. And maybe it was time for me to step up and take on my own team. So the beauty of the 19s is the 19s and 23s will work closely together. So Tuna and myself will still work together and try and get as many kids coming through the system as we can.
Yeah. Now it was a bit of a controversial, I guess, decision with Football Victoria when they announced it last year. A lot of clubs said it's a great idea. Others have said, "Oh, geez, we're going to struggle to effectively field a whole new team." How do you see it? How, from Dinamo's perspective, has there been a lot of talented under-17 stepping up?
Yeah, so I guess there's 2 answers to that question. One is, yeah, it was a controversial decision. I think long term, it's good for the competition, but the way that it's all been done, it's very, very rushed. Clubs were given, I think, a day's notice before the trials started, and then you're trying to find players. So essentially, we've got 36 new teams or whatever it is around the state that we're trying to find quality players, because at the end of the day, it is NPL. There's a shortage amongst all the clubs. So there's only a couple of clubs that I know of that are saying they've got full rosters, and we're not one of them at the moment. Having said that, to answer with the second part of the question, so far in all of our practice games, we've done it as a combined development squad, so 19s and 23s together, and we've already blooded 9 out of the under-17s.
Wow!
So that's I guess that's what we want to do. We want to be bringing kids through from the 17s. We're not saying we won't take from outside as well, if they're better than what we've got. But at the same time, this club's always been built on bringing kids through the whole system.
Now, it's great to see that you're working with Tuna again this year, because you guys had fantastic success, and you just mentioned about blooding youngsters. But that's been that was something that was, I guess, major highlight for you on a personal level, wasn't it, from 2024?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got 7 boys that are training with the seniors at the moment with Cam. Whether they're there round 1 or whether some of them are back with the 23s, the fact that they're getting exposure to the senior training and the senior environment is gold for us. That's exactly what we wanted. I've recruited an assistant as well, Danny Moore. So Danny's come on board. He was a senior coach at Sunbury the last couple of years. So again, we've now got 3 coaches, all with senior experience in that 23s, 19s age bracket. But we're all firmly about bringing these kids through and improving them, not just as players, but also as young men. Once you start to get to about 17, 18, and they find girls and they find cars and that sort of thing, it's trying to give them something that keeps them on the straight and narrow. So hopefully we're having an impact on them, not just football-wise, but life-wise as well.
Yeah. Now, another major appointment at the club in the off-season has been, well, prior to the off-season, was the appointment of Jason Trefiro as Junior Technical Director, and we had him on the show last year, and that's a massive, massive coup for the club, and he's going to obviously import all of his experience and knowledge into the club. Another person that you'll be working closely now at the kind of the bottom end of the age scale.
Yeah, definitely. So even though the 19s is part of that senior setup, I guess I've got 2 bosses to report to with Cam, and then also Jason with the 17s being so close together. and working with Jason a lot. And obviously my son's in the 15, so I've got a keen interest as to the sort of stuff that Jason's doing with them. And so far, some of the football the juniors are playing has been unbelievable. It's been really, really good. Just need to find a little bit of maybe resilience in game situations and add that to it. But the way that they're knocking the ball around, and if you see the training sessions tonight, yeah, it's really, really good.
Well, you just pointed to the behind you, and the pitch 2. I don't think the pitch 2 has ever looked this good in the pre-season. There's obviously the club has done a lot of work with pitch 2, but also pitch 1 as we speak. That's undergoing a major transformation. Exciting times here at the club.
Yeah, so not just the club, it's also Brimbank Council as well has been really supportive. I think once Tawny finished here, there was a big push from the club to keep people off the pitches. So we've had the juniors, we've had the 19s and the 23s have all been away before Christmas at different locations at Lloyd Reserve and Keilor Synthetic. So keeping people off the pitches has, it produces this. I mean, pitch 3 at the moment and pitch 2. I said it all along. When Cam was a bit sceptical of pitch 3 last year at the end when he saw it for Tawny when it had been smashed. But I said, as soon as you get some water on it, which we've had with that rain, and then the soil heats up, it just, it thrives. And this pitch tonight, yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. Now, back to you, mate. I mean, is this your first senior, head coaching gig, I should say? Have you had a coaching gig before where you're the head coach?
Yeah. So I did seniors in State 3 a few years ago at Essendon United. Other than that, yeah, there was a few reserve gigs and assistants for seniors in State League as well. 11s, 12s at Gully when I was there with Lucas. But yeah, there's nothing like, really having your own team and being able to do what you want to do. Not that, Tuna and myself, we're still, even now, you see the chat group, myself, Tuna, Danny, we're all on the same wavelength. We're all giving the same messages. I think sometimes if the boys are expecting a different voice might tell them something different, they're not getting much joy out of that because it's the same message time after time. So, but I guess that's the beauty of it. Having coaches that are all working together on the same page, that's hopefully going to bring success.
And
success.
And speaking of success, what's going to be your measure of success for season 2025 as far as the under-19s are concerned?
Oh, look, I want us to be competitive. That's the first thing. But at the same time, for me, it's all about the football we play. Like development football is about the football you play and making the players better, individually and as a collective. Now, individually, if I can get a number of my players from the 17s through the 19s, I'll give myself a tick. If we get them from the 19s through the 23s, a tick. And if we manage to get them from if we can get a boy from the 19s this season all the way through the seniors, I'll go and ask Ilya for a pay rise.
And what is the calibre of some of those players? So maybe the top 2 or 3 in the squad. Do you think they could fit in the 23s and maybe even as fringe squad players, members of the senior team?
Yeah, definitely. We had sort of 4 or 5 that were in that Tawny squad at the end of the season. Yep. Made it to the final, unlucky to get beaten in the end, but they did a really good job for us. So there's no doubt, we know that those boys can step up. And I think sometimes you put better players around them or more experienced players around them, some boys will go on and thrive even further. And we've seen that already. And the boys that have come from the 17s, like I keep saying to them, I'm excited about what we've got in our 17s group. I know there's 3, 4, 5 that I could put in the 19s tomorrow and they'd just be great to work with. Really good attitudes, they work hard, they want to learn. So yeah, it's massive wins all around.
And what are the plans as far as match day? Are the 19s going to be playing prior to the 23s and prior to the seniors? So will it flow on as one big triple header on match day, or will you be playing games at different times, depending on time slots?
I think it's only for the big games at home. So your Prestons, your Knights, Dandy City, I think. They might be the 3 games where we have the triple headers all the way through. Other than that, the 19 is going to be standalone on a Monday night.
Okay.
So Monday night's going to be quality. It'll be good for us under lights. It allows us to maybe utilise boys that don't get minutes in the 23s on the Sunday. Mm-hmm. There's also opportunity there for 17s boys. They can step up again. So for me, that's perfect. When Ilya first asked me if I'd do the 19s, I said ideally I'd love it if it was like a Wednesday comp, but it really needed the federation to push that and say, let's make it a Wednesday comp for everybody. In which case, then you really could have a showcase there where you're getting the best players from the 23s, some from the 17s will push up, and then it would make it certainly easier on clubs that are struggling with that number situation.
That's awesome. That is a fantastic idea, and it certainly gives us that Monday night football appetite for the punters and the supporters, and that's going to be absolutely something to look forward to. What about the other clubs? When are they playing?
Well, so that's the thing. So away games will be a little bit different. We're sort of at the mercy of how they're going to do things. So some clubs will do it as a triple header. So I think Dandy City are doing round 1 as a triple header on a Sunday. But then you've got others. So South Melbourne, for example, the seniors play on a Friday on their own, and then the 23s, 19s is a double header on the Saturday. Off the top, and I think Gully do the same thing. And off the top of my head, I think there's other games where it's so Oakley, for example, the 23s and seniors is a double header on the Friday, but then the 19s is standalone on Saturday. So away games are a little bit all over the place. And I looked at the fixture. There's one point there. I think we've got something like 15 days without a game. So we have a bye because Melbourne Victory aren't in the 19s comp. So trying to manage how we do that will be one of the other challenges, I guess, too.
I guess whatever the other clubs do, that's with all due respect, that's their business. But we're certainly going to be excited about what our club is going to be doing. And Monday night football, at least for the home games, is going to be something that's going to be mouth-watering. And mate, we look forward to catching up with you throughout the season on DINAMO-TV. And certainly appreciate what you'll be doing behind the scenes as well. But thank you so much, and good luck for 2025.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this short break. And that was Berkey, Ian Burke, last year's assistant coach to Adam Tenanini Tuna in the under-23s, and now he's got his own team. That's fantastic as well. Great to see. Alrightio, shortly after this, we're going to be speaking with our final guest for tonight, and we'll be speaking to a man who we had on the show last year on DINAMO-TV when his announcement was made. And we're going to have an in-depth interview with the Junior Technical Director, a man who is certainly going to make some unbelievably fantastic changes in the junior section of the St Albans Dynamo Football Club. And yes, I'm talking about Jason Trefiro. Folks, don't go away. Jason, welcome to DINAMO-TV. Great to have you back on the show. It's season 2. And, mate, first of all, it's been, 5 months since you've been relocated to Melbourne, is that right?
Yeah, about 5, yeah. 5 or so months now. So,
yeah. How have you found it? How have you found the move?
Definitely good. I definitely feel, part of the town now, part of the city. Took a little bit at the start just to get things going, get things sort of underway, but yeah, very much in and amongst the sort of the training and stuff like that now too at Dynamo. So play games
What's the big difference between getting back to the personal side of things and the adaptation, I guess? What's the biggest difference you found coming from Sydney to Melbourne? Be honest.
not so much of a difference. I've lived in Melbourne before, so.
Have you?
Yeah, I've lived in Melbourne before when I used to play here. So I got mates here. Obviously got business here now, so all that sort of similar. I guess it's probably just getting yourself into routine again. You know, by the time you set up where you're going to live, and then obviously, your routine in terms of driving to training and driving to work and stuff like that. Once that gets a bit of a routine, then things become a little bit easier. Which now I feel like things are getting there. So
What about the football community? More so the mentality of the football community. Does it differ? Is it less or more intense than what you used to were familiar with up in Sydney? Or is it similar?
Look, there's definitely similarities. I see. Look, a program is only as good as the coaches that are running it and what you put in place. In Sydney, there is quite a lot of good programs around, and people are really trying to do the right things, I think. But here, you see a lot of good individuals. You definitely see a lot of good individuals, and you see some good football. Definitely a lot more sort of. I think it's the way that it's all sort of put together here. There's a lot more team-based stuff here.
Yep.
Whereas in Sydney, we're a lot more club-based.
Okay.
So something I definitely want to try and I've been trying hard to sort of put in place here now is bring the club a little bit more together in terms of football. So not so disjointed. There's a bit of a flow on. There's a bit of a flow in terms of how we do things. We can promote our better players. We can be on the pitch at similar times where we can move things around. Different coaches can work with different players, and instead of just being like, okay, take your team, I'll take my team, and that's it, you know. So trying to put those things in place, which that was a bit that sort of in Sydney was a bit more normal for us. We did that all the time. So changing the mindset a little bit, changing the way we do things, and we'll see how it goes.
And it kind of, I guess that then leads us to the next point. You know, change of a mindset, change of a few things usually means a cultural shift there, and that's something that doesn't happen overnight. It takes a few years, and I remember talking to you last year where you said, look, it might take a couple of years, you know, but there's small-term goals, medium-term goals, etc., etc. One of those goals, I guess, is last year the NPL boys didn't perform too well. All of our teams were in Division 3. Obviously, there's going to be restructures. It seems to me down here there's always restructures happening. But have you kind of set yourself a goal with regards to the NPL junior boys side of things? And it might not necessarily be finishing on the ladder or anything like that. Maybe.
No, I think, like you said, the biggest challenge for us is the mindset change first. And like you said, that comes with a bit of a cultural shock too. Sometimes in and around football. I think the club, you know, being here in a short time, has definitely got a good community, a good culture about it. But sometimes it becomes, you got to sort of go a different way when it comes to football. And you've got to understand that, you know, we are an NPL club. We need to be doing and trying to challenge for a lot better than what we're doing, you know. So, but like you said too, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. I think where we're at right now, I don't think we're sort of in and around the NPL 1. I do think we've got some good players. Definitely some of our 17s, you know, they've shown they've already played some 19s this year in some of the friendly games and done reasonably well. So that's sort of 17, 16s, you know, pushing into the senior environment already. That's sort of a good step, definitely. I think we've got still a little bit of work to do from the younger grades, but that happens even then younger, like in our mini Roo section this year, you know. So if we can start to change our mini Roo's mindset too, then we sort of hope that, you know, next year becomes our 14s become better, our 14, and then the following year our 14s become better again. There's a bit more of a flow through the club, you know. So we sort of got to start at a bit of a younger age to try and change that mindset and the culture.
Yeah, and tell us what does your role involve? So, junior technical director, are you overseeing everything with regards to juniors or specific elements of it?
Definitely, my main role is 10s to 17s, pretty much. So I do 10s to 13s, which is the mini Roos, and then which hasn't started yet, in Feb, and then probably the main focus is to try and fix, like you said, the JMPL a little bit. Try and promote some of our older 17-year-olds into sort of the senior environment where they can roll on into senior stuff maybe next year. You know, you got to understand. I tell these guys, the senior one, the 17, 16s, that, you know, if you look around the world, the 16-year-old is playing for first team football like regularly. You know, so I mean, we're not sort of, you know, world class, but there's no reason why you can't have that mindset to try and get there. So. Definitely try and run those grades. The mini Roo section, what I've seen of it so far, there are some really good young talented players, definitely. So if you put the right things in place now, give them the right detail, the attention it needs, I think the future in the next 2 or 3 years could look good in the JMPL. But we have to compete in the JMPL too, you know. So.
Yeah. Now, speaking of world class, I guess the club this year is going to link up with a world class producer of young talent. Its namesake Dinamo Zagreb, and during the year, obviously there's going to be a youth camp, a junior camp as well, and no doubt there's going to be other links forged with our namesake in Croatia. That must be also exciting because that potentially gives a lot of our talented juniors a springboard to maybe even having one foot in Europe via Dinamo Zagreb and its vast academy and sister clubs in Europe and Croatia specifically.
Definitely. Like, I'm excited about that for myself. It's you know, I'm always trying to learn it as a coach, as a TD. You got to constantly try and stay ahead of the game and try and say to yourself what's next. So a powerhouse like Dinamo coming here and the connection we have is like, I mean, it's very exciting, you know. I hope to sort of be on the pitch with them for that week or so that they're here, and see some of our players try and do really well. And yeah, if an opportunity comes of it, it's very good for the player, for the club.
Yep.
So to have that relationship, it's pretty special, I think. So looking forward to it.
And it all happens with a lot of work behind the scenes, and just getting you to the club. I mean, you and your football tech empire has a reputation that really precedes it from Sydney. Obviously, the link now, Dinamo Zagreb. There's some really exciting times, and like if you're a junior in that 10 to 17 age group, geez, Dinamo St Albans is a club you'll certainly want to be a part of. Have you noticed over the last few months, with expressions of interest, etc., a lot of the kids from around this area, the western suburbs, starting to have, one eye and thinking, oh, yeah, we want to come down to Churchill Reserve?
Yeah, look, I definitely think it's going to be still something that we've got to build on. I mean, we've had some good ones come in. Not an overpowering sort of, numbers in terms of numbers. I definitely think where we're at right now, we need to start we need to put some runs on the board, right? We need to, there's one thing training, and there's one thing, having a good program is definitely important, right? The coaches that we have and trying to get the right people to the club is important. But we need to show a little bit too, and we're still probably a little bit off that. I think it's going to take a little bit more work, and I think it's going to take a couple more years in terms of our younger ones definitely coming through into the JMPL. Is then when we'll start to see real good rewards for the club, I think. Because expressions are interested good, but if you can build from your own and put the right mentality and the right things in place from your own, from the younger ones up, then it becomes a lot easier when you're recruiting, when you're trying to scout. It's, players have got our mindset already,
And finally, I guess from Sydney, you were very, very closely aligned with, along with your brother Glenn, with Sydney United. A lot of football tech programs and tournaments were held there at Adenzor Park. So you obviously got a very intimate knowledge of Sydney United, one of the biggest Croatian-backed clubs in Australia. You've come now to another Croatian-backed club. What are the similarities and maybe some of the differences that you've noticed?
Oh, definitely. Look,
and off the field.
So off the field, I think what I've experienced at Dinamo, the way the community is, like I said earlier, the way the culture is, it's probably a little bit ahead, I think, of United. I don't know, that's the feel I get. The way the functions that you guys have, the food that you guys put on, during the week when we start all our teams here again. I think we do like a Thursday night here or something like that. That's a little bit different. We never really had that at sort of United. Where it was different is on the pitch at United. Definitely, it's something that we're going to need to try and implement here still. Where it's like you sort of you go away from your mates. Doesn't become a sort of my mate's team. It's a football team. It's
you're there for the football.
You're there for football, Whereas, but you don't want to lose that, right? You want that community, that culture, but you got to understand that it's got to be different to football too.
That's an interesting point. That really is an interesting point. Trying to kind of differentiate between the social, recreational side of it, but then you're here for the football and put the mates and
I think we've got our community, a couple. I think we've got 1 or 2 community teams too and stuff like that. But then we've got our NPL teams, we've got our mini Roo teams. So you need to understand where there's community based stuff, and then there's NPL. We want to be known as a good NPL club, that does the right things on and off the field, and showing our performances and showing our professionalism and stuff like that. So that we're still a little bit off. Where at sort of at United, we sort of built that, but we were there for 7 years. Me and my brother. So and it was a good story there. In terms of how we built it and how it's still running now. So with help obviously of United, the club and the board and stuff like that too. They gave us the backing, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. On that note, thank you so much, and we wish you all the best. And in season 2025, and mate, it's great to have you on board here at Churchill Reserve.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And that, folks, brings us to the end of tonight's episode. We're still in pre-season mode, so the episodes are going to be that little bit shorter than usual. And I'm sure once the season starts early February, we'll have a bit longer podcast episodes. On next week's show, or before we get to talk about next week, let's talk about tomorrow night. Once again, let's mention this. The senior men and the under-23 men have got practice matches against Melbourne Victory at Churchill Reserve, of course. The under-23s, they kick off at 6 p.m. there. And the seniors, they'll be kicking off at 8 p.m. The bar and the kitchen will be open from 6 p.m. and you will be able to get your membership cards for season 2025. As I said, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. But on next week's episode, amongst other things, we'll also be speaking to the senior women's coach who has been reappointed for 2025. But he's going to be a very, very busy man because he's also one of the assistant coaches to Cameron Watson with the senior men's NPL team. And we, of course, talk about the legendary Tommy Pondeljak. He'll be joining us on next week's show. So, folks, until then, have a lovely, lovely rest of the week. Hope to see as many of you at Churchill Reserve tomorrow night. And we'll be back again next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Bye-bye.